Hello everyone and welcome to the next in our series of Daily Origami for YouTube. Today we're going to continue with our theme of looking at some traditional origami by making a really cool looking spider. This is one of the cooler looking ones that you don't really need any scissors or glue. You do need 2 sheets of paper. I'm going to be using 15 by 15 centimeter, and you can use really any size, but we do need 2 of those, and there's the beginning steps that are pretty much the same for both parts, and then we'll put them all together when we're done. I'm going to be making an orange spider just because I'm hoping that'll be a little easier to see. I think if you use black or brown it would look really cool and spooky because I don't like spiders, I wouldn't say the finished spider is as big as the spiders in Japan, but almost. There's some that have really long legs and are really hairy looking. Oof, just not cool. So anyways, we're going to start off here and I'll show you guys the beginning steps, and then you'll want to make sure you repeat this for the other sheet of paper as well. What we want to do is start off with our square base. So with the color side facing down, fold your paper in half both vertically and horizontally. The more exact you can make your folds in this stage, then you're going to have, a sharper looking spider with really cool legs. So open up with the color side facing up. Go ahead and get your paper folded in half into a big triangle, making the diagonal creases. We'll do that both ways as well. Then open to the color side and look at those mountain creases that go straight across here. I'm just going to pinch on opposite sides, push into the center, shimmying everything around until I get to this nice little diamond or square shape, which is the square base. Now, making sure that I have these flaps at the top, I'm going to take this bottom outer edge and fold it in to the center. And I'm going to do this for all 4 sides. Once you've gotten all 4 sides folded over, I'm going to just open them all up. We're going to use those creases to do a squash fold. So if I take this first flap, make sure that this center crease is clear by folding it left to right. Open up from the top like a pocket if you can. Pop it open a little, and then we're just going to push straight down on what was the outer right edge. Push straight down until you smush it out and you create this nice kite shape essentially. A little bit of white at the top and the orange, and these guys are actually little flaps that do separate there at the top. Take the left side and crease it over to the right so that it gets smushed down. And then we're just going to do the same thing with the next flap. Again, just make sure that you've got both ways going clean. Then open up from there at the top, pop it open and smush down so that we can get to that nice shape again. Take the right flap and push it back over to the left side so we have a nice smooth orange kite shape there. Flip it over and repeat those steps then on this back side too for these 2 flaps so that we get all 4 of these areas squashed down with a squash fold here. So that we wind up with something like this. Now I want to actually open up to the other side, so I'm going to just take 1 flap and push it to the right, flip it over, do the same thing again. You should have a nice open split right down the middle there. And we're going to do some petal folds up here at the top. I'm going to take the top right edge and roll it towards the center. Now you want to try your best to get a nice point there at the top. Get a good crease going and do the same thing on this part too. Don't worry so much if these obviously don't meet once you get down after that top part. I've got a good point there, but then there is a little bit of paper between the 2. That's normal. Open up both flaps. Then I'm going to go ahead and take this layer and pull up. You can kind of pinch a little right where that crease hits on the side. And we're going to go ahead, if I turn it around here, it's a little easier to work with. We'll just push down. And then I'm going to be essentially bringing all that side over, even with the center. I'll do this side too. And again, this is where you're going to probably definitely have a little bit of white area showing there in the top of that triangle. That's totally normal. We just want to keep everything nice and smooth down here at the bottom if we can. And then I'm just going to repeat those steps. And you can work this way or you can work this way. It doesn't matter. Whichever way is easier for you folding, I like to actually turn it around halfway because it's easier for me to do one side one way and the other way. But just do these petal folds for all 4 sides. So we're doing the front and the back first here, and then once we're done with both of these, I can then open up to the other side to get to the other ones. So we get those guys smushed down first, and then if we open over 2 flaps, we get to the other side that's still a nice little kite shape, and we can complete the petal folds on these 2 areas as well. So we'll have 4 completed areas with a nice little petal fold. So when you're finished, you should have all those open flaps. You should have 4 of those up at the top, and this little bit of flap that you see here on all 4 sides pointing down. Now this is the completed point where the 2 kinds of our paper are the same. So if you want, you can take a second here, make one more so that you have 2 of these, and then we'll go from there to make the hind legs and the body and then the front legs. So if you've gotten a chance, you've made 2 of these, and we're going to put one of these to the side, and we're going to first focus on just making the hind legs and the big poofy part of the body in the back, the butt area. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this little flap and I want to tuck it inside everything here. So the easiest way to do that is to kind of open things up so you're just looking at this layer. And I'm just going to kind of open things up and push down and reverse that crease, get that going, and then just get all those creases that were open in there to open up, and then just let it smush back down inside. And I'll do the same thing for all 4 of these sides. So you're just essentially kind of opening up an area here. Get that part reversed inside. You can really literally take all this open as you do this. Just get that part to tuck in, reverse, and then get it to smush down flat. Open up to the other sides and repeat these steps on those last 2 little flaps that we have remaining here. And the last one here. Oops, sorry. So we've got all of those 4 flaps now tucked inside. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take each of these areas and fold the outer edge into the center to make this whole area a little thinner. And this is where you want to try your best to get a nice sharp point, you know, on the tip, since we'll want to use that for nice little spider legs later. Flip it over, work on the other side, and then we'll find the other sides as well. So you wind up doing this a total of 8 times. So we got both of those front and back, then we can just open to the other 2 parts and make the crease again on these so that this whole thing gets narrowed down good. Flip it over to the other side too. So we get all that narrowed down at the top. Now I'm going to go ahead after that and I'm going to take each of these and fold out, doing an inverse fold. So we can kind of open up from here, pop it out, sandwich it in the middle there. And what we want to do is make this come out pretty straight out from the base there. So we're just kind of shooting for it to go straight out. I'll do this one too. At this point, don't worry too much about making this super creased down at the side because we're going to be doing another reverse fold, so you don't really necessarily have to make everything smushed down right yet. We're just going to get those two folded out, flip it over, we'll do the same thing on this side too. Just try to get that beginning part there in the middle creased good. All four of those kind of going the same way. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is then taking these and folding down, and you can go ahead and start off just by making the crease by folding just straight down like this, and it's kind of good to create a crease that where you're getting an edge that's kind of parallel. This edge is kind of parallel to this part that you see here. And if you do that, you can make the crease then on all four of the sides here, and then we'll just reverse them around. Let me go ahead and make the creases first. So I'll flip it over here. Try to get both of these folded down. Trying to create an angle that's kind of even, parallel with that edge. Try to mimic how far the space that you have between each of those on both sides. So we've got all those folded and angled down, and then I'm going to reverse this. So I'm going to pop it open, and there's a lot of paper here, so you might need to just smush it down after you get it going. But this is why you didn't really need to worry about folding everything, because we've got it back to the original crease here as it is. So flip this part over too, pop it around, try to get all that smushed down. And if you need to pull on any of that to angle it out to be about the same, then you can do that now. So that we get all four of those to look like this. Now the last little bit then is to just go ahead and blow into the body from the top there. There's a little hole you can see. And we're going to poof out the bottom part so that we get the base of our spider. And sometimes, because it's this part of the leg is a little in the way, it's a little hard to get in there. You can just put a little pressure on the top and tug gently on these sides to help you get this part to open up. And then from there you might be able to give it a little better poof of air in there to get it the way we need it to be. And you could choose, how fat you want that to be and stuff. We're just going to kind of get it started here. It can't be too rounded because later we're going to be sliding the other part of the body in. And so if you make this too poofed out and round, you might need to wind up actually smushing it down later. But you can kind of play around with it and get this opened up as much as you like. Get this part kind of pillowed out a little bit to look like the rounded body of a spider in the back with 4 legs so far going on. So we've got that part completed, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put that to the side, and we'll take the other piece that we had, which looks like this here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that little flap that we had originally reversed on the other side. I'm just going to push that straight up, flip it over, do the same thing here, open up to the other layers where we can find that part and push it straight up for all 4 sides. Then I'm going to just open one layer to this big diamond shape. Flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Here, I'm going to take that flap up there and pull straight down. It should be a really natural thing because this opens to a nice smooth surface. Flip it over, do the same thing on this side too. Open over 2 flaps so that we can get to that other big diamond shape here. And we're just going to repeat the steps here too, so that we get all of this folded down and we get to a shorter kind of kite shape rather than the longer shape we had before. So you should have something now that looks like this. Now I've got those open seams here, and what I want to do is actually fold one layer over so that I'm just looking at this nice smooth kite shape area here. And then I should have 1, 2, 3 areas here in the middle, and I can take the first one, we'll just do it that way. We're going to take this first area here and we're going to reverse it up. So I'm just going to make that a nice mountain edge at the top, and we want to line this edge up with the point of the kite so that it goes straight out. I'm going to do the same thing on this side too. So just that very first layer, just pop that open. Get that part creased out. Flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Or you could have accessed these layers from the front too. It's up to you how you wanted to do it. I think this makes it a little easier though. So I'll just get this part to pop out. And we'll do this side too. So we have all 4 of those areas now reverse folded out. Now I'm going to narrow out the body and these legs a little bit by taking this outer edge and folding it towards the center. Now you'll notice when you do this that you're pulling open the leg as well. Just go ahead and pull up on that side as you try to bring everything over, and you can kind of figure out, let me see which way is going to work best for me to do this. Get the tip going first because there's no tension there, and then from there you can get this part to pull up, get the crease going right in that pocket area. And then keeping all of that standing up, what we're going to do is smush down and create a crease that goes right in here. And if you push all this down, you should be able to get a nice crease to the tip. And you want to try to get that as smooth as you can. And then smush down so that we get something that looks like this. And I'm just going to repeat those steps then for the rest of these sides. So we'll do that for all 4 of the sides here. And again, just try to always start the crease down at the bottom first, get that nice and started, and then get the top part going here. We do want to try to get nice sharp points on the sides if we can, because that's going to become what we're going to use for everything later. So we try to get all that folded over, and then I'll flip it over, do the same thing on this side too. And as we do this, we're going to wind up doing this 8 times. So we're doing it 2 times in the front, 2 times in the back, and then we're going to flip everything over to the other sides to get the rest of it too. So I've got the front and the back completed, and then we just open up to that other smooth kite shape space, and then we'll work on those same creases here, and this will give us a much cooler sort of shape for the spider. So when you're finished, you should have something that looks like this, with these nice narrower body and the narrower legs. Now the last little bit is to just fold these legs up. I want them to be at slightly different angles, so I'm just going to start with these front ones and make my crease, and then we'll do a reverse fold. I want it to be, again, kind of parallel to my body, so I'm just going to kind of find a good spot here. These are the front little guys, so I'll get those going. Try to give myself about the same space if I can here. Like so. And then the ones in the back, I'm just going to actually twist behind so that I can get a better feel from them. Or you can flip it over, either way, whichever way works better for you. I think, you know, you can kind of play around with it. But I want it to actually kind of come at a more sharp angle towards this body part here so that it can kind of come out away from the front. Just a little bit. Make a good crease there. There's a lot of paper, but we want to try to keep that as sharp as we can. Do this one too. Try to keep things symmetrical if you want. So you got those two creases on these back legs and on the front, and then we're just going to go ahead and reverse the fold of those. So if we open this up and open up from underneath, we're going to then pop this around and reverse it here. Try to get that at a nice point so that it comes straight up. Do this one too. We want to try to keep stuff as sharp as we can there. And I'll get these guys reversed too. So you should have something then that looks like this, with those two coming up a little sharper towards the head area and then these ones behind. Now as a last little bit, what we're going to do is just take these two little flaps that you see in the front and back, and I'm just going to tuck them in because I want to be able to see the little triangle flaps that are hiding inside the center, which are going to serve kind of like the little pinchers for my spider. So I get actually really big pinchers. Woo! A little spooky. So we have a completed head and the 4 feet in the front now for our spider. You got those nice little pinchers in front. And then if we take the body that we made before, we're just going to slide that right in here to complete our spider. And you can kind of get a feel for if there's any creases that edges that you're working with, but we're just pushing straight in as far as you can go, really. You want to try to get it to a point where you bring these legs as close to the top part of your body as you can. You want to be able to bring that, as close as possible. And that should give you connection for that there at the top. Pinch down a little bit once you get close there, and that should give you the finished little spider. So we're going to go ahead and tell you guys the dimensions, and he might be a little shorter or longer depending, and this is about probably right though, about 7.5 or 8 centimeters long. And in terms of width, let's see here, he's about 8 centimeters wide as well. But a really cool looking spider, spooky looking spider for sure. And you can definitely use him for Halloween decorations. If you pull on his head, it will pop out. So if you really wanted to keep things secure and you plan on throwing this at people and you don't want it to fall apart or something, you can put a dab of glue on the body as you slide this in and it'll kind of stick in there for a while. So, but that should give you our finished spider, which is our finished project for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.